AEW founder Tony Khan alleges that WWE is tampering, yes, tampering with AEW contracts. We're going to take a look at what Tony had to say about this, why this isn't something that we should be surprised at, and what this could mean as two big-time AEW talents seem to be about to jump ship to WWE. We're also going to be talking about an injury update on a major AEW talent and why he could return sooner than you think. And, of course, AEW is running All In Texas. I'm going to talk about my thoughts, how this came together, all that much more coming up right here in this video. So be sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. All right, first things first, let's talk about the tampering allegations. This is not something that is necessarily new. Tony Khan has called out WWE both directly and indirectly for these alleged undertakings, and he just did so once again on the Dan Le Batard show, saying the following on the alleged contract tampering, quote, he was asked whether or not he thinks it has stopped, and he says, quote, I don't think that it has. It's still happening. I will reserve all rights when it comes to that, but I don't think that it stopped. I'll leave it at that. This, if you guys are, not remembering what happened a couple of years ago, there was this story that came out that essentially said that WWE had reached out to AEW talent about coming back to the company while they were still under contract, and it wasn't a talent whose contract was expiring imminently. It was in an attempt, at least that's what the report was, it was in an attempt to try to get them to get out of their contract. And we have since learned that that talent was allegedly Swerve Strickland, of all people, who is now the AEW World Champion. This was back in 2022. This led to Tony Khan at that infamous All Out 2022 press conference. Y'all remember everyone talking about the CM Punk kind of pipe bomb, grape bomb, whatever you want to call it. Tony Khan also went off. That was when he was talking about, how he has more money than Jim Crockett ever did, and he's not taking this effing bleep. Like, he was very heated, very animated, and this is something that AEW has actually, sent WWE legal letters about. There was a legal letter sent back in 2022 when this alleged incident happened, where he had sent this letter to Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, and Nick Khan of WWE, essentially telling them to cease and desist before they have to take further action. Tony here alleging that that process has not stopped, that kind of, business practice, whatever, has not stopped. It kind of shows you where we are. And I think, this brings up a good point about what is tampering, what isn't. The reality is, in professional wrestling, you want to wonder why, talent sign very soon after their contract expire. It's because they're talking. More often than not, somehow, some way, indirectly, directly, whatever it is, a lot of times when talent have contracts coming up, they are talking well before those deals are up. That is just the truth of it. And it's hard to enforce this type of thing in professional wrestling unless there's, serious, malicious or whatever intent that is obvious, that there's a smoking gun per se. But it's different, right? If there's a talent who, in the case of Swerve Strickland, allegedly, he had just signed with AEW and he was a multi-year deal. He was fresh there. That tampering is different than if, for example, two talent, Penta and Rey Fenix, who are alleged to be on their way to WWE at some point, even though Rey Fenix still has, AEW, still has the ability to add over a year of injury time to Rey Fenix's deal. Even though their contracts are coming up, right? It's different for them to be talking about WWE at this point because, they have their deals that are expiring imminently. Or in the case of Penta, his deals looks like it's up. So it does depend on the case. And the tricky part is in professional wrestling, there is no union, there is no body, there is no entity that can really hold this to account. It's kind of just the inner workings of the legal system that can be very long and and stretched out. And the reality is WWE and AEW are very different companies. So it doesn't work the same as if, the Miami Dolphins, for example, in the NFL have a player who was talking to or the Miami Dolphins as a team were talking to Tom Brady, right? That was a big thing that happened in football. And there was tampering allegations. There was punishment thrown out to the Miami Dolphins. Like their owner was suspended for an entire year because of this. And the reality is, all of that, the Miami Dolphins, Tom Brady, it's all under the NFL system. There is no governing body for professional wrestling. So it doesn't work the same in that respect. You have to kind of go through as if you're one company suing another company, which obviously comes with its own challenges and its own pitfalls. But that is what it is. Now, of course, there's a lot of people who are going to be talking about this. I think Tony Khan, don't be surprised if someone asks about this in the next week's press conference for AEW All In. It is going to be interesting to hear what he has to say because he was very vocal the last time he was asked about this, and I think there's a chance he could be once again. But speaking of All In, let's also talk about the big news. AEW All In Texas happening next year, July. They have moved it to mid-July, and it is going to be from Global Life Stadium, or Global Life Field, that is where the Texas Rangers play. Capacity for that for baseball is around 40,000. They could probably fit 50,000 for professional wrestling there. So it is a massive endeavor that they are undertaking for next year. Tony Khan also did say that the plan is that next year's All In will be in Texas, but then in 2026, AEW will be returning to London. He did not specify necessarily whether it was All In, but he did say they were going back to London, which has me thinking that potentially we could see that show that he's been talking about, that he's been wanting for years, at Craven Cottage. There's also speculation that AEW wants to run a show in Australia. It looks like AEW is really trying to make or take advantage of the sudden boom in popularity of professional wrestling. WWE is getting a whole bunch of rights fees, millions and millions of dollars in rights fees per year to host their events in all these different cities. It would not surprise me if AEW is looking at this and saying, hey, we can offer you similar, kind of return for at least that day, right? I mean, they're not going to compare for that whole week because when WWE takes over a city, it's different. But we can offer you a good return on investment, right? And you can offer us a little bit of what you're paying WWE. It's not going to be, I don't think, even close for a lot of these shows. And one thing that AEW has done over the past number of weeks is it's built that relationship with Arlington. They've been doing shows, this All-In series, throughout July and August in Arlington, Texas. AEW Collision, Ring of Honor have both been held out of the Esports Stadium in Arlington. So they have done a good job, of building in those roots there. And it's been a long time coming, at least is what it seems, for this Arlington residency. The other part that I had mentioned was AEW coming back to London. So correction there. AEW All In 2026 will be in London. But Tony Khan also said that AEW is returning to London in 2025 for something else. Here it is, courtesy of the Dan Le Batard Show.
Is this the final AEW show at Wembley?
No, definitely not. We love having AEW at Wembley Stadium, and we're back in 2026 in England. This year, we're going to be doing a huge event. It's coming up actually days from now. It's next weekend, August 25th on Sunday. Kind of an early start for AEW on pay-per-view since we're running over in London. We're going to start at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And again, that's next Sunday on pay-per-view. It's going to be a huge, huge event. We're calling it the Final Countdown, as it's title versus career, with Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest wrestlers ever, putting his career on the line versus the World Championship held by Swerve Strickland, and so much more. Next year, the show will be at Arlington's Globe Life Field, home of the world champion Texas Rangers. Should be a great show. Absolutely. We love doing the show in England, and we will be back in England in 2026. And you can bet you'll see us there in 2025 as well. It won't be AEW All In. It'll be something different, but we've got some big plans coming up next year as well. It's a great time for AEW. Like you said, I do wear this hat proudly. And
for those of you who are wondering, the hat in the clip that he's wearing is a Warner Brothers Discovery hat. So that was Tony Khan, a little bit of a clip there from the Dan Le Batard Show. Thank you to them, courtesy of them. So that's the breakdown. As I try to correct myself here, we got All In next year. That is going to be in July, mid-July. That will be held in Arlington, Texas. There will be a show in England in 2025, and then they're coming back to London in 2026 for All In. So AEW is not going to be ignoring the England market at all. And I think, look, between this and what WWE is cooking up, the UK, Europe, they're going to be eating good for the next few years when it comes to meaningful professional wrestling, which is something that has not been the case in years past. So shout out to AEW for that. Shout out to them for helping bolster one of the best markets, honestly, for wrestling there is. So good stuff there. As we move on to our next and final topic, let's talk about the one, the only Adam Cole, baby. Let's get right into it. It looks like AEW might be getting one of their biggest stars back, as Adam Cole, baby, looks like he's showing positive signs in his recovery. This is according to a FightfulSelect.com report saying, quote, however, perhaps a more promising sign of a return was word that emerged backstage was that Cole was set to resume training for a hopeful return as soon as next week. So Adam Cole, baby, who has not been seen on AEW, or has not wrestled, on AEW TV ever since September of last year, ever since he shattered his ankle, shattered his leg in this fall that you can see here at AEW Grand Slam in New York last year, falling off the stage. It derailed plans for that company in 2023, and that's like putting it very lightly. Like, they had a lot of plans to have Adam Cole and MJF really work this story throughout the rest of the year, and it just was not the same. I think that, it shows that when you're a company like AEW, you need those stars who are in prime time positions to be healthy. And we saw what happened, right? In a very short sequence, they lost Jamie Hayter. They lost Adam Cole. They lost Britt Baker. They lost Kenny Omega. That's 4 of your major stars. Then Adam Page, takes some time off. Like, getting those stars back has been instrumental in AEW kind of righting the ship from 2023. And I'm not gonna be a doomer and say, oh my god, AEW was in the mud, they were gonna die a slow, painful death in 2023. Like, that's not what happened. But the product was below, I think, expectations for the latter part of 2023, at least compared to, the previous years. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into that. But Adam Cole coming back potentially could help things. I think that regardless of what anyone says, I think there is still going to be that moment where Adam Cole comes back to face MJF. I understand the people did not like the happy-go-lucky shtick. I understand the people maybe did not like the devil storyline. But these are still two of the best wrestlers who had still, I believe, a match that fit last year's All In. That main event, the good feeling of it, all whatever you want to call it, that fit the theme of the show. It was a celebration of friendship, a celebration of wrestling. And I thought the story that they could have told in the latter part of 2023 could have been cool if Adam Cole didn't get injured. I think there's still meat on the bone here. I'm not sure if the Undisputed Era or the Undisputed Kingdom, is necessarily going to be the thing. I don't think MJF should go through all of them. I would just do the blow-off match. Give me Adam Cole returning to set things right and face MJF one last time, because the pop is going to be insane. The match we know is going to be insane, and it's something you can come back to later as well. So Good to see Adam Cole potentially coming back, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this. Do you want to see him face MJF upon his return? Do you want to see him face someone else? Do you just want to see him kind of explain what happened with the Elite? Because we still kind of don't know. Like, he turned on them, and then injuries happened along the way. But what are you going to do? So much story to be told with Adam Cole. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Also, want to hear your thoughts on Tony Khan calling out WWE. All that, much more. Put it down there. I want to hear from y'all. I'm also going to be at Fanatics Fest in New York City this weekend. So, if you see me, come by over and say hi. And yeah, I don't know. Hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time, keep it real.